Yeah. Oh, my mouth is so dry.
There's going to be a lot of road construction in front of the buildings. The first phase is like that corner. You're going to have to, in order to get to the parking lot, you have to go through the parking lot. Across the Main Street. You as well.
Tom carries pretty well.
You got the associate professor and the professor pin. What's the third one?
Professor, associate, assistant.
Assistant. I didn't get a pin.
Huh?
I didn't get a pin when I became assistant professor.
You did it? I think that's what it is. Is that what it says? Assistant?
Assistant professor.
Associate?
Crazy.
Ran out of money.
Then affordable education.
All right, Dustin. One last time.
You know, when I first came here, the whole band played,
Yes.
and there was only one graduation, like 3 hours long. And they had to play, what, like 38 verses of Pomp and Circumstance. And then they had to sit here and play the alma mater, or on that playing, it's on Western at the end. And one singer sang it. And nobody sang it. It sounds like shit. So I said to Jeff,
Mike can hear you.
sounded like shit when they sang it. So then I said, the 48 singers will do the alma mater instead of a soloist. So you can do it a cappella and the band can leave after
Makes sense.
pomp and circumcision.
Before he says anything else.
remain standing as you are able for the national anthem, followed by the university hymn, A Song for Fort Hays. Performing both are the Fort Hays Singers under the direction of Dr. Terry Kroll. Gentlemen, please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Standing tall on the western plain, born of the sun and wind and rain, western Kansas gives you praise. Alma mater, Fort Hays, from the past our future we design. Let the light of our knowledge shine. Our song of praise we bring to you, Alma mater, Alma mater, Fort Hays.
Please be seated. Welcome to Fort Hays State University's Spring 2023 Commencement Ceremony for the College of Education. My name is Jill Arnsdorf, and I currently serve as the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. It is so good to be celebrating with each of you today. We are proud to have you join us to celebrate this very important rite of academic passage. This weekend at Fort Hays, we will be conferring the degrees of 625 graduate students and 1,105 undergraduate students. Let's give all our graduates congratulations with a round of applause. As you watched the students and faculty enter, you may have noticed the flags of different countries displayed on the south side of the auditorium. These flags recognize the countries of origin for our graduating international students. Military flags are also displayed in recognition of our graduates who have served or are currently serving in the armed forces. If you are a veteran or currently serving in the armed forces, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you all for your service. As many of you know, a primary part of the Fort Hays State University mission is to provide affordable access to higher education for those who seek the opportunities provided by the American Dream's promise that hard work and education are keys to success. All of you who are first-generation college students, you're a part of the American Dream. We are proud that you chose our university to start a new generation of college graduates. If you are a first-generation graduate, would you please stand and be recognized? You may be seated. Thank you. Upon the conclusion of today's ceremony, we ask that everyone please exit the building immediately to allow our staff to prepare for the next event scheduled in the Coliseum. Now allow me to introduce the members of the Platform Party. Platform Party members, please stand and remain standing as your name is called. Please hold your applause until all are introduced. They are from your left, Mr. Wesley Winch, Vice President for Administration and Finance; Dr. Joey Lynn, Vice President for Student Affairs; Dr. Blake Flanders, President and CEO of the Kansas Board of Regents; Dr. Tisa Mason, President of Fort Hays State University; Dr. Paul Adams, Dean of the College of Education; Dr. Angela Poole-Fanai, Assistant Provost and Dean of the Graduate School; Mr. Craig Carlin, Registrar and Mace Bearer; and Ms. Brenda Mader, Reader of Names. This year marks Brenda Mader's 25th year as our Reader of Names, so please join me in thanking Brenda for her service to the university. Thank you. You may be seated. We are grateful to elected officials who see the value in accessible education and the contributions that our graduates make to our great state. It is my privilege to welcome and introduce to you the state legislators who are in attendance today. Seated up in section 23 are Senator Rick Billinger from Goodland, representing the 40th Senate District; Representative Ken Rajas from Agra, representing the 110th House District; Representative Barb Wassinger from here in Hays, representing the 111th House District; and we also welcome the City of Hays Vice Mayor Sandy Jacobs. Your attendance here today shows both your support of and pride in our Fort Hays State University students. Thank you for being here. Representing the Kansas Board of Regents today is Dr. Blake Flanders. Dr. Blake Flanders serves as President and CEO for the Kansas Board of Regents. Before serving in his current position, Dr. Flanders served as the Vice President for Workforce Development for the Kansas Board of Regents and provided executive leadership for the Kansas Post-Secondary Technical Education Authority. Born in Edson, Kansas, Dr. Flanders is a graduate of Colby Community College and Kansas State University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science, a Master of Science in Animal Science, and a Doctorate of Philosophy in Curriculum and Instruction. Please help me welcome to the podium Dr. Blake Flanders.
I promise most of this is just the master script. It's not my entire speech, so I'll be have more brevity than that. President Mason, distinguished faculty, staff, alumni, family, friends, and most importantly, you as graduates, thank you for the opportunity to join you in this celebration. And I want to say initially to the graduates, just congratulations. I know it's a long road and there's a lot of trials along the way, and this is an accomplishment. I'm so glad you're here in this celebration. It's not something to be overlooked. It's something to be really celebrated. To complete at any degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, tremendous work. But before we get started honoring you as graduates, which is our primary purpose, I do want to say, I'd like to see how many people know where Edson, Kansas is. All right, we got two. That's, I have to tell you, I'm from Western Kansas. I love Western Kansas. And I love Fort Hays State University. Fort Hays State University is just future-proofed. It's one of the most innovative institutions in the entire nation. They've been able to deliver high-quality education in an affordable way, and I think we should recognize with our applause President Mason and her team here at the university. You've acquired tremendous knowledge and experience as you came through the college today. But I have to tell you, being an educator, you'll have tremendous influence among so many people as you go out into the communities. And with that influence comes a great deal of responsibility. And I saw a number of first-generation students stand and be recognized, which is something that I really enjoy. We have a number of people out there that just need to see a pathway where they can excel, continue their education, and yes, continue their formal education. I know many of you are working or have completed advanced degrees, so you're no stranger to continuing formal education. But if you don't decide to come back for formal education, I hope that while you're in the community, I hope you'll never stop learning. There's so many new innovations coming today, and really learning about people, learning how to connect with people, how to connect to students, and really help them along the way. There comes a security with a degree. There comes a security in that we know there's a lot of personal benefits. People with a degree actually live longer, less likely to go to prison. They have higher wages. They volunteer more hours. So in your community, people with a degree generally volunteer more hours than those that do not have a degree. So those are all good things. Those are good personal things. I will tell you, I hope that you'll decide that you're going to really uplift your entire community. Not just the place where you work, not just your own personal lives, but really build into your communities. And I hope, selfishly, I wish you well no matter where you go, but selfishly, I hope you'll decide to stay in Kansas, perhaps even Western Kansas. We need people like you. Many of your fellow Tigers, Fort Hays State alums, have continued to call Kansas home. But wherever you go, know that your time at this institution has prepared you for that success. Graduates, on behalf of the Board of Regents, I extend my heartiest congratulations and best wishes in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flanders. The Kansas Board of Regents appointed Dr. Tisa Mason as the 10th president of Fort Hays State University in December of 2017. Her academic credentials include a Doctor of Education degree in higher education from the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, a Master of Science degree in education from Eastern Illinois University in Charleston, Illinois, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology, anthropology from Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky. Please help me welcome to the podium Dr. Tisa Mason.
You did it. You are graduates of Fort Hays State University, and I think that's pretty awesome. As I begin my remarks, I'd like to thank all of the Fort Hays State University faculty and staff who are here today to celebrate with our graduates. These are the people who inspired your dreams, helped you discover your talents, and fueled your passion. I also know that you have other people in your life who helped you get here today. People who are so proud of the dedication you have shown in successfully completing this chapter of your academic careers. Your family and your friends have been there to support, encourage, and cheer you on through your collegiate experience. So graduates, please join me in thanking your family, your friends, your faculty, and your staff who supported your educational goals. Today is a day filled with emotions and feelings. The feeling that perhaps you are leaving something behind, but also a feeling of excitement of starting something new. Those feelings of nostalgia are so important. They mean that we have etched a place in your heart and that you are tied to your alma mater. Remember, as you move forward and start something new, we will always be with you, ready to support and help you in any way possible. Change is all around us, and how you, as a Fort Hays State University graduate, handles our constant world of change is what will differentiate you from other graduates. Think of it as a carry-on suitcase for your trip of a lifetime. You have knowledge, both broad and specific, from what you learned in your general education classes and in your major or your concentration. You have enhanced your ability to find new knowledge, to read, to research, to experiment, to distinguish fact from fiction. You've developed intellectual skills. You can solve problems. You communicate effectively while showing respect for diverse perspectives. You know how to use technology. So use today's high-tech tools and the technology that we can't even yet imagine to make yourself smarter, to make learning easier, to increase your performance and your productivity. Then take that knowledge and your skills and the technology and go put them to work. As Fort Hays State alumni, you are equipped to be agents of change, or as the famous saying goes, be the change you want to see in our world. Be engaged global citizen leaders, doing good for others and being a good person. Work hard, be smart, be humble, be helpful, be kind. Become engaged in the world around you. And don't ever forget that your education is a privilege, and a Fort Hays State University education is a special privilege. Cherish it. Leave here today knowing that we are so very proud of you, and we look forward to your future success and your strong continuing connection to your alma mater, Fort Hays State University. Congratulations. I now call upon the Provost for a report of the Educational Specialist degree candidates.
President Mason, we shall be conferring 15 Education Specialist degrees in this college. Will the candidates for the Education Specialist degree please stand?
Through the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents and the state of Kansas, I hereby confer upon you who have completed the requirements the Education Specialist degree with all the rights, the privileges, and the responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please be seated. I call upon the Provost for the report of the Master degree candidates.
President Mason, we shall be conferring 307 master's degrees in this college. Will the candidates for the master's degree please stand?
Through the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the state of Kansas, I hereby confer upon you who have completed all of the requirements the master's degree with all the rights, the privileges, and the responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please be seated.
Will Marshals Kim Chappell and Carrie Tholstrup please bring forward the education specialist and master's degree candidates?
Dr. Angela Poole Funai, Assistant Provost and Dean of Graduate School, will be hooding the candidates. And Dr. Paul Adams, Dean of the College of Education, will now present the education specialist candidates from his college. Jessica E. Phillips, Education Specialist, Digital Leadership. Jordan Levi Perez, Education Specialist, Education Administration. Julie Ann Lane, Education Specialist, Leadership in Reading. Marcy Ann Stegman, Education Specialist, Leadership in Reading. Donnie A. Stark, Education Specialist, Education Innovation and Leadership. These are the masters now, okay. And now we will be presenting the master's candidates by Dr. Paul Adams. They will also be hooded by Dr. Angela Poole Funai. Brady R. Bergman, Master of Science, Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Amy M. Bronner, Master of Science, School Counseling. Alyssa M. Chappell, Master of Science, School Counseling. Kendra L. Autry, Master of Science, School Counseling. Jacqueline Castillo Meraz, Master of Science, School Counseling. Stacy Ann Atkin, Master of Science, School Counseling. Whitney Morgan Dennis, Master of Science, School Counseling. Zoe J. Beekler, Master of Science, School Counseling. Chi An, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education Student Affairs. Brianna Mary Bradshaw, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education Student Affairs. Ashley Freeman, Master of Science, Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Erica R. Diederich, Master of Science, Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Delaney J. Hamill, Master of Science, School Counseling. Ashton R. Durbin, Master of Science, School Counseling. Christine Marie Foster, Master of Science, School Counseling. Elda Flores, Master of Science, School Counseling. Olivia L. Eskridge, Master of Science, School Counseling. Mandy J. Glass, Master of Science, School Counseling. Olivia S. Peterson, Master of Science, School Counseling. Stephanie Lorraine Montgomery, Master of Science, School Counseling. Amanda Dawn Kennedy, Master of Science, School Counseling. Marley Murrow, Master of Science, School Counseling. Wendy L. Lainertz, Master of Science, School Counseling. Christine A. McLean, Master of Science, School Counseling. Kara N. Lazarus, Master of Science, School Counseling. Ashley Ann Hubbard, Master of Science, School Counseling. Sharia N. Hutchison, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Catherine H. Blankenship, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Taylor Nicole Hopp, Master of Science in Education, Chemistry. Kira E. Gilbert, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Elizabeth Mercedes Ivy, Master of Science in Education, Elementary Education. Gabriela O. Figueroa, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Monica Blanco, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Keisha Jade Batman, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Violetta Apodaca, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education, Student Affairs. Heather A. Schlitzkes, Master of Science, Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Natalie G. Cabello, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Emily R. Bird, Master of Science in Education, Library Specialist. Vicki A. Cooper, Master of Science in Education, Reading Specialist. Jing Chen, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Sally M. Dinkle, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education, Student Affairs. Carissa K. Brown, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education, Student Affairs. Esmeralda Conde, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Jacob D. Weigel, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Erica Meneses Corona, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education, Student Affairs. Casey Potacek, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education, Student Affairs. Shelby Lynn Martin, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Stephanie A. Miller, Master of Science in Education, Reading Specialist. Joshua Nelson, Master of Science in Education, Secondary Education. Samantha Christina Netterman, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Kara R. Olson, Master of Science in Education, Elementary Education. Kelly R. Gorman, Master of Science in Education, Reading Specialist. Bailey M. Hensley, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Mackenzie James, Master of Science in Education, Reading Specialist. Sadanya Lane, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Cathay L. Johnson, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education Student Affairs. Holly L. Lang, Master of Science in Education, Library Specialist. Donna L. Lamb, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Vicki Lynn Claker, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Pamela Mahana, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Patricia Lee, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Caleb Joseph King, Master of Science in Education, Curriculum and Instruction. Brooke Lynn Brennan, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Julie Wangberg, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Tasha M. Widener, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Tammy M. Hope, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Jenna Catherine Kenny, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Misael Trejo Hernandez, Master of Science in Education, Higher Education Student Affairs. Kylie Utt, Master of Science, Chemistry. Alexandra Amelia Van Sickle, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Sierra L. Wilson, Master of Science in Education, Reading Specialist. Madison Tassett, Master of Science in Education, Elementary Education. Emily G. Rhodes Estevez, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Grace A. Splekel, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Brittany Lene Stoss, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Brenna Ray Stamper, Master of Science in Education, Elementary Education. Christine Ramirez, Master of Science in Education, Transition to Teaching. Libby Starnes, Master of Science in Education, Library Specialist. Eva Rodriguez, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Yvonne G. Ramirez, Master of Science in Education, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Hillary Irene Sage, Master of Science in Education, Elementary Education. Tiffany Lynn Harms, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Jenny L. Hovis, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Jonna K. Harness, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Stephanie J. Davies, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Erin M. Lassman, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Ashley Jane Kemmis, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Bethany Rose Mossberg, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Jason Todd Millman, Master of Science, Special Education, High Incidence. Tracy D. Trill, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Tara K. Roan, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Madison Henningsen, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Luke M. Reardon, Master of Science, Education Administration. Gabriel E. Dirksen, Master of Science, Education Administration. Morgan Beatrice Solden, Master of Science, Education Administration. Kathleen Smith, Master of Science, Education Administration. Candida E. Wise, Master of Science, Education Administration. Chastity Adelhart, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Amanda C. Arnett, Master of Science, Instructional Technology. Autumn M. Biltz, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Cassandra L. Butcher, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Courtney Lynn Burning, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Marcy Diane Alford, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Megan A. Bauman, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Jessica Wobus, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Austin T. Pyle, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Ashlyn Partridge, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Rochelle F. Ross, Master of Science, Special Education High Incidence. Julie Kristen Cook, Master of Science in Education, Curriculum and Instruction. Robin C. Hartman, Master of Professional Studies, Instructional Design. Lucy Ann Sotak, Master of Professional Studies, Instructional Design. Tavia K. Kemp, Special Education, High Incidence.
I call upon the Provost for a report of the baccalaureate degree candidates.
President Mason, we shall be conferring 85 baccalaureate degrees in this college. Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degree please stand?
Through the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the state of Kansas, I hereby confer upon you, who have completed all of the requirements, the baccalaureate degree with all the rights, the privileges, and the responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please be seated.
Will Marshals Sarah Broman Miller and Linda Feldstein please bring forward the baccalaureate degree candidates at this time?
Dr. Paul Adams, Dean of the College of Education, will now present the candidates from his college. Bailey Renee Compton, cum laude. Alexandria J. Brungart, cum laude. Mary T. Brocksterman, cum laude. Carly Maria Bagani, cum laude. Miranda N. Berner, magna cum laude. Abby Bauman, cum laude. Marissa Annette Capo. Tessa L. Campbell, magna cum laude. Haley M. Burks, cum laude. Mindy Renison. Stephanie R. Moore. Mary Catherine Hale. Kendra Duncan, cum laude. Sarah J. Fincham. Janet M. Fink. JC Carlin Dale. Alexandra May Hart, cum laude. Jessica M. Espinoza, cum laude. Angela Hunt. Angela M. Hutton. Jacqueline Miller. Rosella Marie Madeir. Marissa Ann Moore, summa cum laude. Marisol Mendoza Moreno. Mallory S. Meeks. Macy Elaine Mikuleski, cum laude. Bridget R. Hewish, cum laude. Taylor Ann Lynn, magna cum laude. Kaylee T. Dreyer. Cheyenne Paisley Sfati, summa cum laude. Amber N. Taylor. Brandy Ontiveros, magna cum laude. JC N. Robinson. Cassidy A. Pro. Brittany Carlina Flom, cum laude. Caitlin Nicole Roble, magna cum laude. Hannah Ruddle. Robin Marie Slaisner. Braden Leitner. Kaylin M. Spees. Marissa T. St. John. Ashlyn Nicole Zambrano, summa cum laude. Janet A. Coleman. Hayden William Silman. And Miguel Lopez Lemus.
Please stand for the playing of the university anthem. Congratulations, you are now officially graduates of Fort Hays State University. Undergraduates, it is now time to move those tassels from right to left. This concludes today's ceremony. On behalf of the university, I thank you very much for attending and taking part of today's commencement. It's an important tradition. You've worked hard. We love to honor you. Please celebrate safely with your families and friends and feel the joy of your hard work. Thank you.